everyone, my name is Zoe, and in this video I'll be talking about how to run a Write It, Do It class. This video is more for coaches, but parents and students, you're welcome to watch and you're welcome to share. So everyone had their own teaching style, and you might be wondering why I'm even doing this video, because everyone has their own teaching style. Well, something that I've noticed is that Write It, Do It isn't like a lot of events where you can just throw a PowerPoint up on this board and, teach people from that. So you have to take a different approach. Here are some of the things that I've found most effective in teaching Write It, Do It. Keep in mind that my classes are about an hour long each week. So if you have more or less time, you might want to adjust for that. So we're going to start at the very beginning, which is the first day. So on the first day, you're going to want to first introduce yourself to your students, but this shouldn't take more than 5 or 10 minutes. Just let everyone know each other. The kids probably know each other already. They probably had other events together. You need to know them. You need to learn their names especially. It's important. After that, you're going to want to explain the rules completely. If you're a first-time coach, be sure you read the rules ahead of the class and, maybe 2 or 3 times, because you might get questions and you might have to know exactly what the answer is without having to find it in a whole list of rules. Even if you've coached before, reread the rules so that you are aware of any changes. Write It, Do It's different than a lot of other events because it doesn't really correlate with any specific area of science, like if you learn forensics, that correlates with forensics in real life, but Write It, Do It, there's no real equivalent to that, so it is important that you know the rules so you know what you're getting into. Okay, so now after introductions, pass out the rules. You might know the rules, they probably don't have a copy of them, so just pass out a copy to each student, even if they've done it for 7 years. It doesn't matter. Emphasize key points, emphasize how much time they get, emphasize what they are specifically prohibited to do. They can't draw pictures. At the end, be sure to ask a few questions to make sure they understand, especially if they're kids who seem like they're distracted or they don't really care. Ask them the questions, because you have to see that they understand what you're talking about. And also, let the kids ask you questions whenever. Let them know that it's okay to ask you questions whenever they need to. Whenever you're talking about something and they don't get it, let them stop you and ask you a question, because it's so much easier to explain it right then and there when they have the question than to get through the whole lesson and then have to re-explain everything because they didn't get step 1. After directions, get out your Write It, Do It supplies. You might have 1 box, you might have 10 if you're crazy like me. And these are just filled with the stuff you use to make practice models out of. So you want to take out the stuff, have them stand around you or in front of you, and you just want to ask them what everything is called. So for instance, pom-poms. Or you might have a ribbon or some paper clips. It doesn't matter. Anything that you have, actually everything that you have, just let them identify it. Just let them know what it is called. Don't give them the answers. Have them shout out the answers. This seems silly because everyone knows what a bead is, right? Everyone knows what a paperclip is. But there are some items that might be trickier, like what's the difference between a thumbtack and a pushpin? They are different. So you need to get them to know what the right terminology is first, otherwise they're going to be very confused down the line. Yes, I will be making another video coming up, I think next week, about terminology, so stay tuned for that. Finally, if there's time, start introducing methods of how to write. You want to ask them a lot of questions, because then it helps you gauge whether they're understanding or not. I will be going over this in a future video, maybe 2 or 3 weeks from now. I think asking questions repeatedly, which I've said probably 2 or 3 times already, is super important because it lets them know what kind of questions they should be asking themselves when they are writing. In the second lesson, I teach how to write. If I didn't introduce it already, I will introduce it now. We often do a group write-up where I have a device, and the whole class will write up this device together, just so we all have a sample of how to write. We all know this is how we're all going to do it. If there's time, I hand out typed up directions that I've written to build a simple model, and I give them to every single kid, and I have every kid try to build this model based off of my directions. So just so they know how building feels like. If there isn't time, this moves on to next week. It's no big deal. Then in the next class, I usually have 2 devices that are similar in difficulty but completely different. As you can see, these are the 2 I used this year. So I split up the class in half, so one half of the class will write this device and the other half of the class will write this one. Then they switch papers so that they have a partner who builds the other device. So if you wrote this device, you will build this one, and vice versa. I do this to help me determine as a coach who would be better at writing and who would be better at building, as well as who likes to be partners with each other, because I don't want to pair people up with people they don't even like to talk to. This can last 1 week or 4, depending on how much time you need to determine how well they work together. The biggest thing is just go with what feels right to you. After you determine partners and you know who's the writer and the doer, I suggest having each person practice only their role. Why spend time on something that you're not even going to be tested on, is essentially what I have been saying. So the way this works is the writers will write a model one practice, and then the next practice, the doers will build the model that the writers had written, and then the writers write the new model. So essentially the writers are always going to be one model ahead of the doers, which works well so that we don't have a lot of empty space where people are just doing nothing. While the doers build, the writers will write. So that means it'll only take about 25 minutes for this whole process to be done. Yes, I do time it because we don't want to give them too much extra time. Maybe at the beginning it's okay, but as you get close to the competition, if they have so much extra time, they'll just get used to it and they won't push themselves to be faster and faster. But after the time is up, we have about half an hour left in class typically. So what we do is I bring out the original model, the one that I created, and then I have them compare the one that they made to the one that I created. I have them look at what they can do better. I also look in general what the class could do better, because there are some things that are harder for everyone. And then I make a note of this, and then they discuss how they can improve. I think it's important that they discuss, because then it sticks in their brains better. They know it's more personalized, because I can't teach every pair of people individually. I have 6 teams of people. I can't teach all of them individually every class. But however, if there's something that every single team seems to be messing up on over and over, I will give mini lectures at the end in this 30-minute period, whatever they want. You know, I don't plan things. I literally give these on the spot. If they say, oh, I want to learn about pipe cleaners today, I just get a pipe cleaner and I talk about it for however long they need. And that is basically the haphazard way I do things. You know, you might have a plan for each week. I think that would be good. If you're not the kind of person who likes to think of things on the fly, that would be good. For me, I improvise a lot, so it works for me. This is very spontaneous, the way I do it, and it ensures that I'm only teaching them the things that they need to know. Because if everyone knows how to write about a bead, then why should I teach them about the bead? They all know it. So those are my teaching tips for coaches. Let me know down in the comments if I forgot anything, or if you have any other great tips you want to share, do so. Please subscribe for more videos, suggest more topics that you want me to cover, and thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.